I set a trap this week, a real one, and damn near every one of you stepped in it. This is the Saltlick Weekly Recap. Try to keep up. Start with Colorado, not because it was the most important thing I posted, it wasn't, and we'll get to that, but because it was the loudest and because I rigged it. Colorado's Wildlife Commission voted on banning commercial fur sales. That's selling pelts. That's the entire economic engine behind regulated trapping in that state. The ban failed. 6-5. One vote. Trapping survives. They did pass a new 2-animal daily limit across 17 fur-bearing species starting September 1st, so it's a split decision. But the big one held. Now, the picture I ran with had a foothold trap sitting on a coyote's nose, on purpose, a trap that doesn't exist, on a body part that would never go in a photo about trapping. I wanted to know if anybody would get past the image and read the vote. Almost nobody did. First comment, and I quote, "What is on that coyote's nose?" Then, wow, that's a new way to use a foothold. Then a man goes, and I quote, "Ah, the nose hold trap." Credit where credit is due. The trappers caught it instantly, and that part I respect. Those are the people who know their gear well enough to spot the wrong trap on the wrong body part in 2 seconds flat. The rest of you never made it to the actual vote. And then a whole crowd of you decided that picture meant we'd gone anti-hunting, anti-trapping, and that we're on the other side now. Anti-hunting. Us. Like, us. Read the post you're standing in. It's about a trapping ban failing and me telling you that that's a win. That's the whole lesson. You stop the scroll for a punchy image. You will not read the context. Somebody called us ass lickers worldwide. It's original, but is that the best you got? Then a guy from Colorado turned up on a completely different post to tell North Carolina to stay home. Because North Carolina just authorized its first modern elk hunt. You see, elk vanished from the state around 1800, got reintroduced into the Smokies starting in 2001, and the herd's finally big enough to open it up. 2 tags. 2. 1 resident raffle at $20 a ticket, 1 auction, money goes back into the herd. And a man commented, "I always said I hoped I'd live long enough to see elk hunting return to North Carolina." Sir, you got what you wanted. That's normally where the story stops. You wanted a 20-year restoration project actually working and immediately announced you're done here. Rest of the thread says the elk are too tame. Might as well go walk out in the pasture and shoot a cow. 2 tags, an entire state, but sure. Tell me more about the cow. Speaking of things you people cannot be happy about, Florida added 8,152 acres of new public hunting ground, 3 new WMAs in a state where developers eat open land for breakfast. Comment, 8,000. That's nothing. Next one, in 5 years it's going to be houses and condos. This was good news, folks. Nobody died, nobody lost anything, and you still found the door marked miserable and walked straight into it. In other news, Tennessee's charging you to hunt over your own corn. $50 for a resident and $100 non-resident, landowners included, on ground you already paid taxes on. Your land, your corn, their fee. And somebody in the thread wrote the single best line anybody sent me all week. Baiting spreads CWD. Unless you pay $50, at which point it apparently doesn't. Quote, "Maybe the permit magically cures the CWD." Sir, whoever you are, that's the whole story in 8 words. Legend. Frame it. I got nothing to add. And then another man volunteered completely unprompted that his neighbors have been putting out corn for 40 or 50 years and never bought a permit or a hunting license. Buddy, I'm not a cop, but you just filed a report. Speaking of people who can actually come after you, because the most important stories I ran this week had nothing to do with elk or corn. They were about whether the government needs a warrant to come at you. Good news first. Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that when a landowner clearly posts private property, game wardens generally need a warrant before crossing that line. That came out of a case with repeated warrantless entries and trail camera left sitting on private land for 78 days. 78 days. That's not an investigation. That's a lease. Now the other one. FWC employees reportedly accessed the driving records of environmental activists and agency critics. One activist records, reportedly 17 separate times. FWC says those searches were tied to alleged threats against commissioners. They may be true, they may be evidence the public hasn't seen yet. FWC law enforcement also had access to the Flock automated plate reader network. Cameras that log plates, a location, a date, and a time. there is no public proof they used those cameras on those activists. That distinction matters, and I'm not blurring it. But the question stands. Who approved the searches? Was a warrant required? Were they audited? And did any of it produce a single charge? I'll say this plain. I'm not anti-FWC. Most of those officers do a hard job the right way. Strong rules protect the good ones too. But when an agency starts pulling records on the people criticizing it, that should bother you, no matter which side of this you're on. Posts up, sources are in it, go read it. It's down there. Last thing, back to the coyote. A man looked at the picture and wrote, quote, "I hope Facebook is really proud of this picture you posted. It just proves what a real bunch of pukes you really are." Sir, that was the test. You're the data. It's all on the page. Go scroll it. Go start shitting the comments. That's the business model. Real stories, real ethics, no gatekeepers.